know, it's been a minute since we've done a tour of the Reptarium, and there's a lot of new animals here. I mean, you can obviously see Ivy and Ariana are getting really big. So we have new animals, we have animals that are getting bigger. We've moved some animals around. So I figured why not just give you guys the tour of the place, starting with my beautiful girl, Ivy. Look at how amazing she is. Ariana is absolutely beautiful too. So I love these guys. We're doing a little bit of maintenance right now. The water's actually getting filled. You have to constantly clean these guys. And the enclosure across the street is going to be even bigger, more water, about twice the water volume. It's going to be really great for Ivy for sure. Of course, speaking of water, we have our little furs. We just have some red-eared sliders, and we have some albino red-eared sliders that are getting pretty big. We got these when they were literally like the size of a dime. They are so cute. They're growing and doing really good. And we actually have some musk turtles that are down here too, some razorback musk turtles that kind of cruise around, but to be honest with you, it's really weird. We hardly ever see them. Again, another big turtle pond, about 3 times the size going in across the street. Everything's going to be bigger, better. Speaking of bigger and better, we of course have Bowser, our snapping turtle, over 100 pounds, guys. These guys can eventually get up to 200 pounds. Definitely amazing and great. And again, he's going to be moving across the street. I'm going to continue to say moving across the street because we're working so hard at amazing exhibits across the street. Speaking about working, it looks like Mike is over here working with Juliet and Lucy. Got a little bit of cage cleaning to do.
Yeah, they feed in their water, so I gotta get that out.
All right, well, good. Well, we'll let Mike get to work on the big giant snake. Of course, my girl Sunrise, the albino Burmese python. She's just a really special animal. I mean, she's been around forever. I had her since she was a tiny baby. Interesting enough, I bought her when the Legasea Act was still in effect. With the Legasea Act was something that you couldn't buy a Burmese python across state lines. Other snakes as well, like anacondas and stuff like that. So I had to wait to find one locally, and ironically enough, a local pet shop had one, and I went and bought it out of a local pet shop. Now you can actually buy them across state lines. That's why we bought more Burmese pythons. Although I will say, I'm a little bit afraid. There's talk of the Legasea Act being re-implemented with some legislation that Mark Rubio, the senator, actually proposed, and I think now there's been some other stuff. So we got to keep an eye on that for sure. Of course, my girl Gemma, we all know how beautiful she is. She's actually what they would call a ghost reticulated python. Super docile. She's pretty. She's gorgeous. Just everything about her is just absolutely amazing. And she's a big snake too, you know? It's funny, when you got Julia, you don't think about that snake being as big, but it's still a giant snake. My Sanzinia, my Madagascan tree boas are getting big. This is actually the girl here. We have a boy as well. So when we move across the street, we're gonna actually pair them up. We're gonna do the same thing with a few other animals. We have some stuff at BHB that's gonna actually go across the street. And then of course, a lot of the animals at BHB will be coming back here. This Reptarium, I've mentioned in the fact that it won't be open to the public here, but we'll be doing private events, tours, birthday parties, school events. So you can actually rent the private zoo, not have to worry about being around other people, which I think is gonna be really cool. We have our really cool Ambalombi panther chameleon right here from Fram's Cam. Great chameleon people. We actually have a nosy bee that we gotta get when we make a new enclosure as well. They've been hanging on to us for a while, so they're absolutely incredible. You know, no matter what happens here, I always love walking around and just seeing animals and interacting with them and stuff like that. It puts me into a good mood. I know we have a little fat-tailed gecko in here somewhere. There it is. Look at that. This is the first fat-tailed gecko that we ever hatched here. We hatched this little guy a while ago, and after it kind of calmed down just a little bit, and you can see how placid it is, we decided to move it here to the Reptarium, and it's just absolutely incredible. Again, kids love it because it's small, it's really cool. The African fat-tails, again, are kind of like the African version of a leopard gecko in a lot of ways. Very similar animals, similar care, but you don't want to keep them in a group setting. This happens to be Luna. Remember Luna when she was just a little bit? She was actually a high white, black and white California king snake, as well as an albino. And now she's getting some size to her, and she looks so good. You know, when she was just a tiny baby over here, and kids used to hold her. And that's what's cool, right? Is because everyone was always holding her. Really super docile. A small snake that came over as a pinky eater, and now is getting quite a bit of size. Of course, is Midnight, the Mexican black king snake. Beautiful snakes. Mexican black kings are incredible, and it's cool, right? You can see the difference. You got Luna, and we got Midnight right here. Kind of cool, you know. Obviously, the play on words there. If you guys didn't get that already. Our Pac-Man frog here, which of course is the albino apricot horn frog, and these guys will get pretty big, you know. So this one's just getting going. We got it as a teeny baby. Of course, we've got our Australian frilly. This is Billy the frilly, which is really cool. Look at Billy. He's so cool. Now, most of the frillies that you see actually are from Indonesia or New Guinea. This is actually a pure Australian one. They get a little bit bigger. They've got a little bit more rusty red color to them. And a lot of times they're a little bit more hyper. But Billy the frilly, nah, that animal is awesome. Of course, like I said, we had moved some things around. If you guys watched the videos here recently, you'll remember that we moved Beetlejuice into this thing. This used to be Frosty's enclosure. Unfortunately, you guys know that Frosty passed away a while ago. So we really disinfected the enclosure tremendously, gave it a little bit of a break. Now, of course, Beetlejuice is in here, and Beetlejuice has tons of room. I mean, look at how freaking cool that animal looks right there, just up on the log. I mean, I think about that like in Australia, getting a chance to see a lace monitor like that. I actually have ran into a couple lace monitors in Queensland. One was up in a tree fighting a cockatoo for a nest of eggs, and the other was actually in a picnic area where they would just come up almost like squirrels or something like that. They just came for food scraps. Really cool animals. Of course, we got Butterscotch up here. Hey, Butterscotch. Butterscotch is like, you gonna feed me today? As soon as it sees people, people, it just thinks it's gonna lunge out, but what an amazing animal. Then since the last tour, we've got these guys. These are kind of like just quintessentially beautiful, absolutely insane frog that you see all the time in pictures. The red-eyed green tree frog. The big red, piercing red eyes. See the blue on the sides and stuff like that? Absolutely wonderful. So we have a bunch of them in here. And I love this enclosure. Jessica did a great job. There we go. Look at how agile they are. Absolutely wonderful. Those are new additions since the last time we did the tour. So I want to show you guys the new stuff, and we're always changing things around because we get a lot of people that come in and they want to see something new, right? They've come in 3, 4, 5 times. So you got to always kind of switch exhibits up and stuff like that. But this guy's actually been on exhibit for a while here. This is the albino Darwin's carpet python. I only just have the one little albino, so maybe sometime I'll get another one and stuff like that, and who knows, breed them. We actually did produce this one, but it's been a couple years since we hatched them. Of course, we have Ice Cube, which is similar to the albino carpet python, but this, of course, is the diamond python. And much like I talked about with the Sanzinia, I actually have a pair of this. This is actually the boy here, the females over at BHC. So the new enclosure that we're making across the street, much bigger, 10 times the size of this, and they're gonna go in there as a pair. And, you never know, maybe we'll get lucky and actually breed them. I've never bred diamond python, so I really don't know what's gonna happen, but I think it would be pretty cool if I actually get an opportunity to do it sometime. Of course, this is another new one that came over not too long ago. This is what they call an alternaphase gray banded king snake. And look at that snake right there. Every time I see a gray banded king snake, I just get, wow, that is just so incredible. Of course, they remind me of the banded rock rattlesnake. That's kind of what they mimic as well, so they're just absolutely wonderful. Of course, we've had Toothless since it was a tiny baby, literally a week old. He is getting big. Again, another big enclosure across the street. It's gonna be not only about this size this way, but it's gonna be floor to ceiling, so there'll be more climbing areas. The big monitors are gonna get an upgrade, which I'm super excited about, including this little monkey. And look, he's right at the front greeting us. I love waffles here. Look at the size of that thing's head right there. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the head and that big tongue, just a beastie animal. I mean, absolutely incredible. Moving stuff over is gonna be super exciting, but you know, like, what are we gonna put back in these enclosures? Like, replenishing is gonna be a weird thing, but it's gonna be cool. Of course, we have our, oh, look at this right here. He's actually eating right now. And you can see these guys eat bird seed, right? Of course, that's an ornate Uromastyx right there. Of course, we have a Molly Uromastyx as well. This is actually Milton. And Milton is super cool. I mean, it's a little bit bigger. And look at how beautiful that animal is right there. Look at the tail, really heavily spiked tail. These guys we have at about 130, 140 degrees on the hot spot. And then, of course, we'll have a cool spot down to about the 90, 92 degrees. Really cool animals. A bunch of different types of Uromastyx. And we actually have an Egyptian that will be on display across the street as well. And those can get up to 3 foot long. How cool is that? Hi, baby. Hi, baby girl. What are you doing, silly monkey? Now, Bella's actually staying here because she's a very particular animal. Even to the point where, like, one time we switched her water bowl out, she freaked out. I mean, she went absolutely nuts. So we're not going to stress her out by moving her across the street. And it'll also give, you know, people an opportunity when they do rent the zoo. We do want to have a bunch of animals that you guys are already aware of and, like, know. And, of course, as we move new animals in, we'll introduce you guys. We'll do more tour videos so you guys know things. Of course, we'll be here training and playing with the new animals. Think about it. We're going to have, like, twice the animals to be around all the time, which is really cool. Elvis is up in his corner sleeping right now, but he's incredible, and he's actually getting an enclosure that's going to be similar to Ivy. Again, a little bit bigger than Ivy. It'll have a water feature so he can swim around. It's going to be super, super dope. Then, of course, this was a fun thing this year that had, I mean, I was so excited about the Amazonian milk frog. And, of course, this year we produced a bunch of them. We produced about 200 of them. I think we still have a handful left and available. I'm not 100% sure. But I know we had a few available a week or two ago, and then we're done. And these guys typically breed January through the end of March. So we had like 3-4 clutches of eggs, and then now we have to wait till next year. But we'll probably keep these guys in this exact enclosure because we know that they reproduce in this enclosure. So rather than moving them across the street and getting them all tumbled up, I would love to produce them again next year. I think it would be super, super cool. And then, of course, we've got Big Mac and Chicken Nugget, Indonesian frills, and of course that's Nova's babies. These are the first babies that Nova ever produced, actually, and you can see they're just unbelievable. I always talk about that. If you get captive bred frillies, oh my gosh, especially when they're young, just work them and work them and work them. They are absolutely wonderful. Problem is if you get imported ones or ones that haven't been worked with, they get a little bit crazy and they aren't really the best of This is a cool animal here. I'm so happy we have this on display. This is actually a Mollendorfi, or what they call a 100-flower rat snake. Just look at how beautiful that snake is. Again, we want to have snakes here at the Reptarium that you don't see elsewhere, right? And you're like, oh my God, that is so freaking cool. You know, obviously you can take it out and play with it and stuff like that. They're fantastic. If you get the right ones, and this is another example of that too. It's a mandarin rat snake. Now, you just don't see a lot of mandarin rat snakes because unless they're captive bred, they do very, very poorly. baby imports. I don't even think they import them anymore because they just did so bad. Like 99% of them died. People just stopped importing them. So you just don't see very many mandarin rat snakes, and not a lot of people are breeding mandarin rat snakes. So you don't see them around a lot. Of course, this beautiful monkey right here, look at that. Whoo, man, is he beautiful. Of course, that's Gotti. Bolin's python, again, bigger cage. It's gonna get 9-10 foot long and this thick around, so it needs a pretty large enclosure. It's gonna get a large enclosure across the street. Green tree monitors doing amazing in this enclosure. So we're gonna have a similar enclosure to this mate. They will move across the street. Speaking of across the street, I'm gonna put a link in the description. I'll pin a comment with a link as well in it if you guys are interested. We're starting to sell yearly memberships over there. If you buy a yearly membership now, it's actually discounted, I think, by like 25%. And then as we get closer to opening, it goes like 25%, then it'll go to like 10%. And then when we get to opening, it'll be full price. If you're interested in buying a yearly membership, even just supporting us, you know, it helps us a tremendous amount by bringing in money. If you want to donate stuff, it would be really, really cool. So I'll put, again, a link in the description. I'll pin a comment with a link to it as well. If you guys are interested, that'd be super cool. We've got gecko gecko here, of course. This is what they call a Phelsuma grand. It's one of the biggest of the day geckos from Madagascar. Of course, we got our alligators here. You guys know I love these guys. Again, I keep saying like across the street, but I'm so excited about it. Across the street, we're gonna have a gigantic enclosure for baby alligators. And we're gonna have, instead of having 5 or 6, we're gonna have like 30 of them. But there's gonna be so big, it's gonna have a ton of room. But we're gonna do the same thing with Gatorland, where get them, raise them for a year, send them back, get new ones and stuff like that. But there's gonna be like 30 of them there. It's gonna be so freaking cool. Beautiful monkey tail skin. This one's just shedding. Don't bite me. Oh, yeah. They are little feisty little monkeys. There's no doubt about it. Literally monkey tail skins. That shed will come up anytime. It's rare to see them at the front of the cage, and both of them at the front of the cage. This is a pair. A couple times I thought that we were gonna have babies because it looked like they were gravid, but they just never have, and that's okay. I think I'm getting watched, by the way. Of course, these are the Sudan plated lizards. They always do that. There's 4 of them in there. And they'll come up to the front of the cage, and you have all 4 of them just looking at you. It's just so funny how they do that. I love them. I think it's one of the coolest lizards that we work with. And super underrated. And one day I'm gonna figure out how to breed them, because you just really never see captive bred Sudan plated lizards. This is a beautiful snake. You guys know this. I show this off all the time. The reason we called it Neapolitan, of course, red eyes, like, you know, like the Neapolitan ice cream, right? You got the red eyes, you got chocolate or black chocolate, and then the vanilla. I know, maybe it's a stretch, but then it turned into short for Neo. And now we talk about the Matrix, and that's why we have Neo. Trinity switch as well, you know, kind of the Matrix thing. This is the Pancreatic that we have, and those are Burmese pythons that we have. And they'll come over for sure. They'll be an ambassador animals. There's no doubt about it. Of course, we have Joker here, which is a crowd favorite. People love this animal. It's the Scaleless Texas rat snake. Doing really well, really unusual animal. And I always talk about this. I've said this before. You want animals that really pique curiosity, right? Like people look at them and go, oh my God, that's crazy. What about, I didn't know there was a snake without scales. And then it gives us an opportunity to teach them. And sometimes there's even people that won't hold snakes at all. But when they get to Joker and it's so unusual, they're like, I've got to touch it. I just got to feel how it feels. Of course, our Chihuahua geckos right here. This one's right here. You can just blends into the tree. Hey, little buddy. This is Otis right here. Otis is beautiful. Chihuahuas are great. Of course, we've produced some Chihuahuas this year, which is really cool. We've got our jeweled Lacerda lizards that definitely are going to get a much bigger cage upgrade here, really relatively soon. We got the little Pinocchio, which of course is the Barons Racer, the green Barons Racer. We also have a blue Barons Racer. But this is just a little guy right here that's starting to grow up and look really, really good. And it's going to get big. It's going to get big, and it's going to be beautiful. We used to have Verde in this enclosure, but now we have Bandit over here, which is the false water cobra. And look at him kind of hooding up like that cobra. That's why they call them false water cobras. False cobras. They are rear fang venomous, but very mild venom. And they're very placid animals typically. Bandit certainly is. So you never have to worry about getting bitten or anything like that. So now it has that size cage, which is pretty cool. And it's only going to get better. So pretty impressive size snake. Of course, we have our normal Burmese python snaz here. We get into albinos, and we have, of course, chicken strip, an albino Nile monitor that is just, you know, just such a cool animal. Got to one day breed it just so that we can proliferate it in the future. And then we got another albino, but this is what they call an albino Scaleless, which is a type of water monitor. A little bit smaller subspecies of water monitor that only get about, you know, 4 foot instead of 6 to 7 foot. But it's an albino too. Of course, our newest animal that we brought over, it's not really ready to come out for people yet. But this is Pongo, and it's of course the cow reticulated. Really beautiful animal. Hopefully it will start to calm down and be as tame as Perdita one day. We'll have to see how that goes. I don't know what's going to happen. Look at that animal right there. Love that animal. I love the enclosure. I just love everything about it. Then we have Reptile over here, our lychee gecko, and he is getting big. We have some giant ones down in the basement in the new cow room right now. But Reptile, when he came over, he was just a little guy, 3-4 months old, like this big or something like that. But he's getting big. He's super social and just a really good animal. There's no doubt about it. Maisie, the corn snake. A friend of mine actually donated this when we first opened up at the Reptarium. He did educational shows at school, and this was one of his educational animals, and he said, I'd really love it to be at the Reptarium. He's been a great animal. I love corn snakes, and you just can't get a better corn snake than Maisie. Remember when we moved Verde up into this enclosure? We actually had Beetlejuice up in here for a little bit. Remember I talked about this water feature. Take a look at this water feature. Of course, it's got the waterfall down here. And where is Verde?
All the way in the water.
Loving it, and she loves this enclosure. And again, anacondas need water. They love water. So I felt bad that we had Verde in an enclosure that just had a water dish. A lot of people do it, and that's fine. I always want to have a water feature for my anaconda. So she is so happy now that she's in there. She's such a great animal, and I love her to death. So she's loving the enclosure, and I'm loving her being in the enclosure. Of course, down here we have Terrence the tegu. We've been getting quite a bit of tegus lately. We have a beautiful blue one. We have an albino ice one. Of course, we just got the albino pure red one. So we have a bunch of really cool tegus that are going to be a big part of the future. They're just such great educational animals. They're cool. Of course, we have our little baby albino. Not so much a baby anymore, but getting a little bit of size to it. This, of course, is Freya, the albino alligator. It reminds me of Salty when it was this size. And we'll keep her for a couple years. Now, what we're probably going to do is, we'll keep Salt in a giant, like 20-foot long by 10-foot wide enclosure that should be big enough for her for pretty much her whole life. But with Freya, we're not going to have room for a bunch of really big alligators, so we're going to probably do as much like we did with Gatorland. Once Freya's maybe 2 or 3 years old, when she gets too big, maybe Salt size, like probably trade her back for a baby and then do it all over again. That way, when you come to the Reptarium and the Legasea Aquarium, you can always hold a small albino alligator like that, which I think is pretty cool. Guy recently, which is cool, our diamondback terrapin, which is super, super cool. So this is another new one. Since the last tour we did. And he's just cool. Look at him. He'll follow your finger around. One of the neater animals when it comes to kind of personality. So it's cool to have him on display here. Of course, we still have Ben and Jerry, the two-headed California king snake. I mean, what else is there to say about that animal? I mean, just an absolute legend of an animal. Beautiful, love it to death. Hasn't really changed much as far as anything here. Jessica redid its enclosure probably 6-8 months ago. Other than that, it's just kind of the same thing as it is. Then we have what I always say is our yin and yang thing, right? We've got Night Fury, the jack, motley, golden child, reticulated python. He's kind of a maniac, I'm not gonna lie. Love him to death, but he is definitely a maniac. And then below we have Marshmallow, the opposite, right? We've got the white animal down here. This one, of course, is tame as could be. You could take out and do almost anything with it. And that's the difference. Some reticulated pythons are just a little bit more high-strung than Burmese. I mean, every now and then you'll get a Burmese that isn't the tamest of animals. But most of the time, Burms are very much more tame. So it's just kind of yin and yang as far as color as well as attitude. Of course, we have our guy, Nova, here. Told you about his babies over there. Right now, we've given Lilith a break this year. We're not even going to breed her. She's off over at BHB. I think maybe a couple months away from coming back over. She's got all her body weight back. The problem was Nova was just breeding her constantly, really just beating her up and stuff like that. So we pulled her off, so we don't have babies this year. But maybe this next coming year we'll have babies. We'll have to see. What we'll probably do is move Tiana over to here. And of course, these guys are crazy. I can see as soon as you open up the door, it's like, I'm out. I'm going for a run. That's all I'm going to do. These guys are absolutely wonderful, beautiful animals. Of course, this is Diddy here, this is Dixie here. Love them to death, but yeah, you're gonna have a even larger enclosure across the street. Hey, you guys, stop fighting. Dixie at certain times of the year beats up on Diddy, and then other times Diddy beats up on Dixie. It's just crazy. What an odd couple. Of course, we've got Heinz, our Sunglow albino green iguana. Wonderful animal. And we used to have Frenches in here as well. We do have Frenches over at BHB right now. We had to separate them out because this guy was being bad and he was trying to beat up on Frenches constantly. So again, we have another enclosure being made where we'll have one iguana here, one iguana across the street. Of course, we've got redfoot tortoises. We've got 4 of them over here. We have 2 little ones as well, so we could do the same thing. Or we can have redfoot tortoises on the bottom, iguanas on the top. I think it just works out really well. Back to Burmese python. We have this cute monkey here, one of my favorite Burms. I think, you know, the pieds now are my favorite. I love the pieds. Both the albino pied and the normal pied. Of course, Trinity and Twitch are just absolutely incredible. For that, I think that this was my favorite color palette that we had, which of course is a hypogranate Burmese python. Of course, this is Jeffrey, and look at Jeffrey. I mean, look at what a beautiful animal that is. Of course, we have Snap and Pop here, black-headed python from Australia. Whoops, stay down, stay down. Chasing me. He's like, where's the food, Pops? These guys get fed in 2 or 3 days, so no food today, guys. Be careful about these, but love black-headed pythons. Of course, we had 2 clutches of eggs this year, which is really exciting. First clutch hatched out a while ago. Second clutch is actually due to hatch here in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks. Look at how big Sunfire. Since the last time we did a tour, she has grown so much. I mean, she's getting so beautiful. And again, that's that Sunfire Super Tiger reticulated python. The Super Tigers are like, you know, kind of have that pattern that she has right there. And then the Sunfire kind of just brightens them. Both the Super Fire and the Super Tiger are really bright as they get older. She's just going to get better and better. I just love that combo. This cage, of course, my bane of my existence. Constantly working on it, trying to figure out how to get it to not. We think we have a game plan together, so that video is coming out pretty soon. We've already started working on the fix, but it's going to take us like 2 weeks, so we'll do 1 video over a 2-week period. So we've already started the fix. Hopefully, it'll be fixed in about 2 weeks. But of course, Salt Pepper. What else can I say about those guys? I mean, just absolutely wonderful animals. Again, a giant enclosure being built. The most expensive enclosure that we're making for reptiles is going to actually be Salt and Peppers because it's going to be absolutely enormous. Tons of water, tons of space, stuff like that. Of course, we have Al Machino. You guys know Al, just a beautiful, bright yellow head. Unbelievable animal. Really docile, super tame, but boy, is this thing like to eat. Look at him, he's just like, boom, he'll come up and try to snatch me in a heartbeat. I guarantee you that if he thinks there's food. As soon as he realizes no food, absolutely a puppy dog. Just ridiculously a puppy dog. Speaking of puppy dogs, come on. Perdita, wow. Just a beautiful snake, isn't it? Remember when I got her and she was pure white? I mean, literally not even a dot on her. I think she might have had like a couple scales of black on her, and that was it. And then of course we have Drogo here. And interesting enough, look where Drogo is. I've never actually seen him there ever. I find that he's been in this enclosure, which has been 2.5, almost 3 years. I've never seen him sit on that ledge before. So that's always interesting, right? When you see new behavior and stuff like that. He's doing really good. And Drogo, much like Bella, is kind of a little bit of a temperamental animal when it comes to, like, you know, getting freaked out about things. So we're gonna keep Drogo right in this enclosure. We're not gonna move him across the street. We're gonna get another sloth so that we have a sloth across the street and we'll have a sloth here. Again, that way if you want to do private excursions with sloths and you don't want to be around people, you can come here and do a private event, or you can do the event across the street, whichever you prefer. I think it's gonna be really good. And I tell you, I love that animal so much. Of course, you guys know that we have Javi, we have Sid all across the street of mammals, plus we're getting another 1 or 2 other mammals. Working on it. I'll tell you about that later on. Of course, we've got the fish spot. People who love these things, I mean, they're just crazy. Again, you know, just vibration on your hand, like a little electrical shock. So these guys are cool, and we'll keep the fish spot here, but we're gonna actually do twice this fish spot across the street so we can actually have 4 fish spots. That way we can, you know, if people want to do them, they'll be available. Baby Kush gets a larger enclosure, which will be really, really good. It's really good. Mike's worked with him a lot lately and really chilling out. And then finally, we just have this rack of things right here. Of course, we have our Ackie monitor right up in Cherry. Helen, of course, which is, it's a snake that people just love. You know, everyone knows Helen comes in and she's so popular. When we're open to the public, people are constantly asking to see her out and stuff like that, which we, of course, take her out as often as we possibly can without stressing her out, giving her time off and stuff like that. Of course, she's got no eyes, and that's why she's named Helen, but really, really cool. Then down below, we've got Tyson, Albino, Eastern box turtle, and finally Irwin, the blue-tongued skink over here. Not every single enclosure at the Reptarium, but the overview of the tour, I wanted to give you guys the updates and all the new stuff that you guys are seeing. And then when we start moving across the street, you're gonna see so many cool things. Not only all the stuff that goes across, all the replenishing of animals that come here. It's gonna be an absolute trip, so make sure that you're subscribed. You will not wanna miss the next 4 or 5 months. It's gonna be absolutely ridiculous. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, there's a playlist that you can watch all kinds of videos. You can also hit that subscription button. It would mean a lot to me. Also, hit that like button while you're down there. Have a wonderful day, Reptile Army. Remember, be kind to someone, and I promise I'll see you in the next one.